gentlemen, happy holidays to all of you. Yes, we were only going to do 3 more shows, but I wanted to do something a little bit different for this show. Yeah, this is a bonus episode. This is the Big 12 Bowl Preview Show. 8 Big 12 schools have earned postseason play, and that includes the Oklahoma Sooners, and they are El Paso bound for the Sun Bowl for the 3rd time in the program's history. Unlike the previous 2 times, though, they're going to play a Pac-10 school in the Sun Bowl, and on New Year's Eve, they'll meet a top 20 ranked team, the Stanford Cardinal, coming off a surprising season coached by Jim Harbaugh, and of course a Heisman Trophy candidate in Toby Gerhart. He's going to get a lot of votes, and don't be surprised if he walks away with the trophy. Oklahoma, of course, when you think of bowl games, when you think of Bob Stoops, you think of BCS games. However, wasn't in the cards this time because of the 7-5 record. However, Oklahoma trying to end this year on a high note and set a fine tone for 2010. We're going to talk a lot more about the Oklahoma-Stanford Bowl game coming up the week before the Sun Bowl on our OU Bowl Edition show. It's going to be called the OU Bowl Matchup Show. The Sun Bowl, Oklahoma-Stanford, and again, that'll be coming up later this month. So keep checking back on this page. Again, this show is the Big 12 Bowl Preview. Let's take a look at the 7 other Big 12 schools that are bowl bound. And we're going to start from the bottom to the top, beginning with the Texas Bowl. And this really caught me off guard. The Missouri Tigers, an 8-4 season, despite the fact that they beat Iowa State, despite the fact that they finished ahead of Iowa State, and also, like I said, had the 8 wins, they're going to be playing in the lowest possible game as far as bowl payout and choice that the Big 12 had to offer. That's the Texas Bowl. Missouri taking on the Naval Academy. Navy, by the way, still has another game, if you can believe that, before this one. That's their big showdown against Army this Saturday. That's the only Division I game, by the way, on the schedule for this week. And for Missouri, by the way, 5 straight bowl appearances. That is a school record. Let's move down to the Independence Bowl. Texas A&M. A few weeks ago, my gut was telling me that the Aggies were going to get an invite to the Independence Bowl, and my gut did not let me down. This will be a pretty short trip for the Aggies from College Station, Texas to Shreveport, Louisiana. A&M is going to get a lot of fans for this game. Yeah, defensively it was a tough year for the Aggies, but offensively it was a lot of excitement, and they nearly pulled off the upset Thanksgiving night against Texas. A&M will take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia may be the nation's biggest disappointment this season, coming off a 7-5 season. Some people might have thought OU was a big disappointment, but OU, of course, had more injuries, so their record's a little more understandable than the Bulldogs. Which Georgia team will show up? The one that beat Georgia Tech just recently, or the one that lost to Kentucky? We'll find out when those 2 schools, Georgia and Texas A&M, 2 big-time college football names, they'll be meeting in Shreveport. Now, the Insight.com Bowl, the Iowa State Cyclones. And again, my vote for Coach of the Year in the Big 12 goes to Paul Rhodes. Nothing against Mack Brown of Texas, but Rhodes took over a team that just the previous year did not win a conference game. And here's Coach Rhodes. He has the Cyclones 6 wins, good enough to get to a bowl game and heading in the right direction. In the Insight.com Bowl, which will be played in Phoenix, Iowa State will take on Minnesota, and I'll tell you what, I like Iowa State's chances to win that game. The Alamo Bowl, some people thought that maybe Oklahoma would get the nod over Texas Tech, but remember, Tech did beat Oklahoma head-to-head and finished tied for 3rd in the Big 12 South with the Sooners. Texas Tech, it's only going to be a 400-mile trip from Lubbock to San Antonio. The Red Raiders still the only team in the history of the Big 12 to go to a bowl game every single year. They're now 14 for 14. And for Mike Leach, this is going to be appearance number 10 in a row as far as bowls for him. Texas Tech will play Michigan State. And again, that's going to be the Alamo Bowl, played on January the 2nd, the latest start they've ever had for that game. And Texas Tech, I think they'll win that game because Michigan State is not used to seeing terrific offenses out of the Big Ten. Texas Tech should light the Spartans up. The Nebraska Cornhuskers, who almost pulled off the upset of the year just a few days ago in the Big 12 championship game, but lost on the last play of the game to Texas. Well, Nebraska's reward, still a pretty good bowl game. They'll play in the Holiday Bowl in San Diego. Should be a good matchup as Nebraska will play the Arizona Wildcats. Nebraska earlier this year, you might remember, beat Oklahoma, beat Bob Stoops' squad. Well, Nebraska will try to make it 2 for 2 against the Stoops brothers as Mike Stoops leading the Wildcats. Remember not too long ago when Mike Stoops was on the hot seat in Arizona? It didn't look like he was going to last because they were playing mediocre. Well, the last 2 seasons they've been anything but. Remember last year in the Las Vegas Bowl they beat BYU, and right now they are an ascending team. They just came off a road win at USC. So this should be a good game. Arizona, they do a little bit of everything right. Good offense, good defense. Not great on both sides, but good. Should be a terrific showdown at the Holiday Bowl. The Ndamukong Suh, in my opinion, he should win the Heisman Trophy because he is simply put a dominant player. He's been dominant from September all the way to the Big 12 championship game. Hey, ask Oklahoma how good Suh is. Hey, ask Texas how good Suh is. Ask Colt McCoy if Suh can play football. I think Suh should win the Heisman. Unfortunately, I don't think he will. I think it'll go to Mark Ingram of Alabama in the close vote. The Oklahoma State Cowboys in the Cotton Bowl for the 2nd time this decade, and they have a shot at a 10-win season for just the 3rd time in school history. Mike Gundy's squad will play Ole Miss. That's right, it's a rematch of the Cotton Bowl that was played just 6 seasons ago in that thrilling showdown when Eli Manning and Ole Miss edged out Rashawn Woods, Josh Fields, and Oklahoma State. Should be another barn burner. I think Oklahoma State wins this because Ole Miss is one of the worst teams in the country when protecting the ball. 105th in the country in turnover margin. That should play right into Oklahoma State's hands. Plus the Cowboys, they should be healthy. They're going to have over a month to get players that have missed or have been banged up close to 100%, if not at 100%, Oklahoma State to win the Cotton Bowl. And we have not forgotten about the national championship game, Texas and Alabama. And again, Texas needed a little bit of luck down the stretch, and they also needed a terrific kicker in Hunter Lawrence. They got the 46-yard field goal on the final play. The Longhorns struggled on offense, credit a lot of that to Nebraska, but when they needed to make the big plays, they did. They win the Big 12 championship, and they're going back to the scene where they won their last national championship. That's Pasadena, and again, it'll be Texas against Alabama. I'll have my pick on that game either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I'm going to take my sweet time in handicapping that game. I'm not going to have a knee-jerk reaction thinking that Alabama is going to blow Texas out. Will that happen? Not necessarily. We'll talk more about that in a few weeks. Again, those are my Big 12 bowl outlooks for the 8 teams from the Big 12 that did qualify for a bowl game. In a few days, by the way, as we wrap it up here, we are going to have a brief history of the bowl game that Oklahoma is going to, which in this case is the Sun Bowl, and we'll also have highlights of the last time OU was in the Sun Bowl, which was 16 years ago, and that victory over Texas Tech. We'll have some highlights of that matchup. So after this episode, it's only 3 more to go before our season ends. Take it easy, and happy holidays.